All right, folks, you're in for a treat, as I always say here on Do You Know Jack Radio Show, because I've got Matthew Angus of
Hi.
award-winning band The Fast Romantics. Are you getting used to saying the award-winning band now, or?
No, we're at the phase where people congratulate me, and I still go for what? So we're pretty surprised by the whole thing. It's a nice feeling, though.
Yeah, and now what I'm referring to is the fact that your single Julia was nominated for the SOCAN Songwriting Award, and it won. I mean, what is the SOCAN Songwriting Award specifically, and how do you go about not getting nominated, and who exactly votes on this thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of news to me. Like we found out about it because we were nominated for it this year, but it's basically by a panel of music industry people that pick the 10 best songs in their eyes from the year, and it's kind of up and down. They do one for English, one for French,
Yeah,
and then it's turned over to fans, and fans vote on it, and then it's decided that way. So it's done. I mean, SOCAN, for people that don't know, is the body that represents all songwriters in Canada. So
that's
they're a
right.
national organization that helps songwriters get paid for what they do.
Yeah, now that's an interesting subject in and of itself, because I think, in terms of actually, quote unquote, getting paid for songwriting, I mean, how much is it per purchase of a single song? Is it like 5 cents, 10 cents? It's not as, or maybe per play, I guess. Like it's not as huge as you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way: music, you don't get into music to get rich. Uh, but like you can make a living at it. If you really put your heart and soul into it. But the nice thing about music, unlike some things, is it's like if you don't think about money and you just write from your heart, you tend to become pretty good at it. I
Uh-huh.
think. It's not so much just about going to school or like knowing how to do something. It is really kind of like, hey, don't expect to make money and don't do it for weird surface reasons. Just do it because you love it, and you kind of rewarded for that. I think at least that's been our experience.
I'm thinking like, I mean, I know a lot of people when they think about the heyday of the music industry, they think maybe the 70s and 80s, but I mean, has it ever really been any different? Like, I know bands back in the day would sell in excess of like 7 million copies, 10 million copies of albums. But then again, like, if you think of some of the most expensive albums, like Foreigner 4, for instance, they hired Mutt Lange as their producer, and it took them 10 months to crank out an album that cost thousands of dollars. And they had Jimi Hendrix's electric, I think it was the Electric Ladyland Studios for like that entire time as well, right? I mean, like, but there must have been bands in that era as well that were doing it, for not the glory and fame per se, but more for themselves, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was probably a lot more money in it back then. I don't know. I wasn't born or anything, but I've heard the stories. But it's just different now. I think you definitely did have musicians back then that just that kind of got screwed by labels or whatever. I think it's kind of the same different pile now. It's like you can get messed over pretty hard in music, and a lot of people just do it because they can't really do anything else. That's how we do it. That's why we do it, and that's how we're still doing it. And any like lucky things that come our way are just maybe by virtue of us just sticking to our guns.
Well, and it's about sacrifice too, right? I mean, I think I read somewhere that you guys were originally based in Calgary, but you made the big move out to Toronto, sort of early
Yeah,
on.
yeah. It was actually like we've been in the band in various capacities, like being a couple of the other guys for maybe 3 years in Calgary, and went by different names and all sorts of stuff, and kind of cut our teeth there. But yeah, we had to move. We had to move pretty quickly. Um, It's not just because like we were getting a little too comfy, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, doing this is like 1,000 sacrifices. I've lost cities, girlfriends, money, more money than I can count. It's not for the faint of heart.
What year did you guys move out to Toronto?
2010.
Oh, so you're pretty.
But really, like,
I was just gonna say you're pretty established.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that like this band is considered kind of a new band. There's only one other guy in the band, Jeff, our bass player, who was with me in Calgary at this point.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of feel like what's happened is like I've just been moving through different bands over the years, and Jeff has always stuck by me. But I've been in probably 4 or 5 totally different bands, and they just all happen to be named Fast Romantic.
That's an interesting way of putting it. Speaking of different versions of bands, though, I mean, you've been pretty vocal about the fact that your release, Afterlife Blues, which came out in 2013, your new stuff is going to be quite the departure from that, if my sources and information is correct.
Yeah, that was sort of the first. I think that was the first record where I learned how to write songs.
Uh-huh.
And so I think that for me that was a turning point as a songwriter. And also it was the first record we written in Toronto. I think we'd grown up a lot. Like we were kind of writing just like party rock and roll before that.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I mean, that was a cutting your teeth kind of experience, just having a good time and learning how to play guitar and, learning how to write songs over time. But Afterlife Blues was the first record with like songs on it that I felt like I was really connected to, and I was connecting with an audience more than just one night.
There was a bit of a concept behind your writing too, wasn't there? Like there's a connection between a few of the tracks.
Definitely, I've always been kind of like, I don't know about obsessed, but like kind of fascinated by the death thing.
Yeah.
And it's really, really weird to like write pop songs with that kind of a fascination. So, a lot of the themes were fairly like, transitionary, death, endings, beginnings, that kind of thing. And it definitely, was an upbeat sounding record. So, I think that was one of the magical things about how that record came out is it's kind of on face value. It sounds pretty joyful and happy most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the themes are pretty challenging.
Yeah.
Which is one that was the concept really, was just trying to do that. And we had, some success with that, and in other ways I think, maybe not success, but it was definitely an important record for me.
Well, now, Matthew, moving ahead to the new record, though, I mean, you've released a couple of pretty successful singles, I guess, for all intent and purpose. And, I think one of the things that we'd be remiss if we didn't mention is that, you've added another songwriter into the mix. You've added Kirty. How does Kirty work into the overall band dynamic of the Fast Romantics? Because I mean, that's a pretty impressive 1-2 punch.
Yeah, Kirty definitely, like I said in past, it's like when I met Kirty, she was like, and she still is. She's got her own songwriting project, her own solo project, and she's just this incredible songwriter with this incredible sense of melody and storytelling and everything. So I've never had anyone in the band where I could throw stuff. I've always thrown things by my band members, but
uh-huh.
I don't think I've ever had anyone that challenges me as much as she does. And so it's been a very like it's added a new dimension to everything for sure. And we've been trying to write songs where Kirty's voice is oftentimes just as prominent as mine, and just playing off each other a bit
uh-huh.
Lately. And she's just added an entirely new paintbrush to the band, and also just a totally different perspective where the song's getting written from. So, yeah, she's the single most, single largest change that's been made to the band since, the band started years ago. And really, she came around.
When did Kirty come into the picture, Matthew?
Yeah, she came around in like 2 years ago.
Oh, so this is this is like a relatively new songwriting partnership then. Like, I mean, you're probably going into this new record. This is where you're really going to be flexing your songwriting muscles in terms of this relationship.
Yeah, it's funny. Like oftentimes, if the songs are still sort of written in a dark hole by me, and Kirty is really that new layer that helps me understand what got written and sees things from a different place, and so I can really I work with Kirty a lot. After initial song is kind of comes out.
Uh-huh.
And Kurt also wrote a song that I think is probably end up on the record as well. Just because when it got written, I was just like, that sounds like a fast romantic song. So we're starting to play with her talents that way. So definitely, like, she was the first member to come on when we kind of like cleaned house after like Blues, and we were like, what's this band gonna be? It was basically just me and Jeff left again. And she was the first one that I met, and then the rest of the members that we have now kind of fell into place. So it really is a new band entirely.
Yeah.
And she started that process.
Right on, Matthew. Listen, it's been great having you on Do You Know Jack radio show today, and it looks like, for all intent and purpose, it's onward and upward for the Fast Romantic. So, we'll definitely be keeping our eye out for the new record. And, thanks again for coming on.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jack. Thanks for having me.